There was a clip that was circulating from an interview Trump did with Sharyl Attkisson, and then I saw nothing else from that interview. And then an unfortunate surprise came across the full interview that I haven't seen really anyone talk about, and it's bad. So I want to go through different clips from this, and then I have a bunch of updates for you as well on numerous subjects. So let's waste no time and get into it. If you appreciate the show, please do click the subscribe button. We start with Trump being asked about the files, okay? They told us we're going to give you the Epstein files, the MLK files, the JFK files. And then Pam Bondi, his attorney general, released a binder to conservative influencers that was just rehashing all of the same. Okay, yes, all these we knew these powerful people flew on a plane one time, but is there any other information that would be a bombshell? And there wasn't. And then we haven't really heard much else from it. And then the same thing on JFK and stuff like that. Now, I don't believe that there is to be discovered as much as people think. So that's not my interest in this as much. But instead, get the people who have been running around and saying that all their QAnon conspiracies are completely correct because of the atrocities of Epstein and his relationship with powerful people. It's wild that now their guy is the deep state. Trump is the guy. He's the top of the top of the top. And he then would be the one withholding this information that they think would be revealed. And he also had a relationship with Epstein. And there's just not much of a peep. Some MAGA figures are upset. So let's listen to him again go, focus on JFK. Let's talk more about JFK.
There's a lot of intrigue surrounding the release of the Epstein files, Martin Luther King files, John F. Kennedy files. Some current and former FBI agents are saying, some of them telling me, that they feel the FBI establishment came out ahead in the standoff sort of with the New York FBI field office over releasing the records and your Attorney General Pam Bondi demanding them but not getting all that she wanted. Is that process still on track? I think that's one of the most often questions I've been asked the last couple of days, to release these records on Epstein, MLK, and JFK.
Well, Pam. All right, so Epstein, MLK, JFK. Let's hear what he decides to focus on.
Bondi's done a phenomenal job in every respect. And there could have been some holdback. I haven't heard too much about it, but they could. But the bottom line is the records are getting out. The Kennedy records are getting out. Those are the ones I really wanted to see the most, were the Kennedys. And during my administration, as you know, I released a lot of them. But then a lot of people started coming in, people that I respected, people that worked for the administration, asked me not to release the rest. And I respected that. They gave me certain reasons, but I respected that. And I did say, I must tell you, I said that probably wish I did release the whole thing because I have no idea what's in there. But since then they found, and we found 2,000 more documents on Kennedy. And the one they want most is Kennedy, and it's going to be released. It's moving along, and it's moving along pretty rapidly. It doesn't go that
weeks
rapidly.
Maybe, or longer?
I would say weeks, yeah.
Yeah, like 2 weeks maybe, like when the healthcare plan comes out.
I say weeks.
Well, let me switch gears and go to the media next.
Oh, it's over. What? What about, what? So weird, isn't it? Completely skipped past one of them. No, people, they really want JFK. I hear only about JFK. Really? Because it's a bunch of your followers lately who have been saying, what happened to the Epstein release? Pam Bondi went on Fox News and said, I've seen the files and shit's about to go down. Okay? And I'm about to release it. Get ready tomorrow. And then nothing happened. So, but okay, only JFK. All right, well, all right. But remember, he did have this little moment some time ago.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you,
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there, because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think
you don't want to affect someone's life, because of phony stuff that's in there about me. Someone, because it's, at the end of the day, the truth, that's not truthful about me. Someone, damn it. Yeah, that's, imagine if Biden had that little moment. What would they be saying? We know. Then we move on to this about the economy.
But remember, the building of the plant is a lot of money also.
Point taken. As a society, I'm positing, we've largely been convinced by our political leaders in the past that it's okay to kick the can down the road and not fix a lot of important things. It's very easy to paddle the kayak toward the waterfall with people telling you you're never going to hit the waterfall.
Sure.
Sorry, quick pause. 2 metaphors really jammed into that one question? You know, you can't kick the can down the road. You can't keep kicking it down the pond, through the pond. If at some point it's easy to not go to the gas station, but if everyone does that, then eventually your car is going to run out of gas. You throw the baby out with bathwater, but you can't put the bathwater back in the baby, and you can lead a horse to water. You can love a busy by you without a paddle. All right, here we go.
It's hard to change directions, and I'm wondering, do you think American society today has the guts and the grit to go through any pain that there could be to try to fix big things?
So I think our economy is going to roar. I think our stock market's going to do great.
How long would you suggest people may have to wait before they say on a daily basis, wow?
Well, look, I think they're seeing a lot of things happening. I think they're seeing the numbers. Look, Apple got up and said we're investing $500 billion, not $500 million. That's a lot of money too, but $500 billion in the United States. They never did that. They built their plants in China. Now they're building their plants in the United States. And that's because of me. Policy also, but also because of me. But you see all these companies, we have news conferences sometimes, and sometimes I just say announce it. I don't have enough time for the news conferences. But the kind of money being invested in the country, we've never seen anything like it.
All right, so this is something that we've heard a lot when companies make these announcements of investment, sometimes that don't materialize, like Trump's first term, the big golden shovel, we're breaking ground, and then it completely failed as a project. But the Wall Street Journal documented this. Chief Executive Tim Cook on Monday trumpeted plans to spend $500 billion in the U.S. and add 28,000 jobs, highlighting a plan to open a server manufacturing site in Houston and to double its advanced manufacturing fund, which was formed in 2017 to invest in U.S. manufacturing projects to $10 billion. And then this is what is important to keep in mind. Apple's new jobs promises are slightly ahead of the company's recent 4-year pace, and the spending pledge roughly on track with its recent investments, according to their analysis. The AI server production facility in Houston is new, but the company has yet to spell out how many people it will continuously employ, beyond saying it will create thousands of jobs. The announcement echoed one Apple made in 2021 at the start of Biden's presidency, and another back in 2018 when Trump was first elected, but then Trump proclaims it to be this big victory. So it's sort of that typical political game that's played. But hey, if huge investments are made, that would be good regardless of how terrible Trump is. Then you have just a quick break from the serious stuff. Trump said something so horrific, so vile. Get the kids out of the room.
We were an all-tariff nation.
Do you put ketchup on your steak?
Yes, I do.
My God. I don't know that much about steak, to be frank with you. I'm going to be honest. I point, I say, I'll have that steak whenever I get a steak, okay? But, for example, when I try to explain what type of steak I like, I say I don't like when it's really chewy in my mouth. I don't like when I feel like I can't swallow it. So I'm not a steak expert. But one thing I think I know is that rarely is it, I'll get a nice ribeye with some ketchup. It's kind of a weird pairing than this.
Well, and now I'm actually winning awards for the fact that, a lot of that stuff is coming due now. It takes a long time through the court system. We have CBS as an example. They totally changed the answers of Kamala Harris.
The work that we do diplomatically
They took other answers and put them into a slot. They'd ask her a question. She gave a horrible answer. They took it just before the election, one day before the election. They took the answer and they put an entirely different answer into the slot. Nobody's ever seen anything like it.
One quick follow-up. There's some people are saying to the extent CBS 60 Minutes was considering some kind of settlement with you, that was almost like a blackmail thing, or that they were doing that because they were afraid now that you're president that there are certain things you could do that would hurt the corporation. What are your thoughts about that?
I don't think so. I mean, look, they were wrong. Hey, they took an answer from another part of an interview that was much later.
They said it was from the same question, but yeah.
They didn't say that. They They even, I'll tell you what, they advertised.
Yeah, they did. You're just lying. There was no deception. There was no manipulation. You're just lying. You're telling a big, big, big lie. And I'm so sick of it. And then Sharyl Attkisson goes, well, I mean, they said it was the same answer. But, maybe not. No, not maybe. You can watch it. You can watch the full thing. They released the full thing. Oh, so upsetting. Then this.
I think Facebook and Google and a lot of them have become, I think a guy like Bezos is, I've gotten to know him, and I think he's trying to do a real job. Jeff Bezos is trying to do a real job with the Washington.
Yes, this should terrify people at the Washington Post, that Trump is seeing Bezos' intervention as Bezos is trying to cozy up to Trump because he's seen what's been done to CBS. He's seeing the FCC launch investigations into Trump's enemies. He's hearing Trump saying that outlets he doesn't like are illegal, his term, at the recent Justice Department speech. He's seeing the lawsuits that are being brought, the insane lawsuits that in any reasonable world would absolutely get obliterated. In this world, they would get obliterated in court, but he's forcing settlements because he can use his governmental power to hurt those companies if they don't, like CBS, if they don't give him a settlement. That's why ABC settled on the rape terminology lawsuit. And so Bezos is seeing that, and he's choosing his bottom line or preventing the headache Trump could cause for him over actually fighting for free speech and for the First Amendment. And then here's another moment.
We run it locally. The parents will be running it. The school boards are going to be given back their power.
Will the federal department shut down entirely?
I hope so. I mean, I expect it will. You'll have a few people left just to make sure they're teaching English. You say reading, writing, and arithmetic, right? In the old days, reading, writing, arithmetic. They want to teach English, and other languages, great, but English is.
Why is he saying English, writing, reading, language, speech, text processing? Yeah, it's a little redundant there, brother. Hey, what about science? You didn't mention we're not doing science anymore? And as I feel the need to repeat, because we have so many new people coming to the show every single day, hello, thank you for being here. But I want to make sure you understand, this is so serious. The only way I think we can all get through this is to sometimes laugh at it. But he's talking about shutting down the Department of Education, which will ruin the lives of students, disproportionately red state students who rely on these federal funds. And then we could have generational impact from people not getting the education they so desperately need or the food support they so desperately need, which, stick around for this part, a bunch of crucial updates I want to get to. You have the Seattle Times reporting on, here's a dead person on Social Security in Seattle with plenty to say. Essentially, this journalist found the dead person that Elon had cited, and they cut off his benefits for it. The biggest difference, my deceased guy turns out to be very much alive. Musk is contending that hordes of dead people are listed as alive in the Social Security databases and are fraudulently still drawing benefits, which Social Security director disputes. Johnson is 82 and still kicking, this article says. Yet sometime last month, someone or something led Social Security to both tag him as dead and start clawing back his benefits. What have I told you? When they start making these false claims about how many people are receiving Social Security benefits fraudulently, it inevitably leads to people who do deserve and need the benefits, who aren't dead, having them withheld. Then you have a Trump defender here with a weak argument in defense after a Fox reporter asks about the economic troubles.
American production might not happen at all. S&P Global is forecasting a massive production halt for the auto industry, with the probability of an extended disruption at 50%. It reads, with tariffs now imposed on Canada and Mexico, we expect significant disruption in the region. S&P Global Mobility sees potential for North American production to drop by up to 20,000 units per day within a week. We now expect that the tariff posture, messaging, and coverage through 2025 will be erratic, placing automakers and suppliers mid or long-term vehicle and facility planning in virtual gridlock. That does not sound like a manufacturing boom.
Well, look, these experts are funded by lobbyists who have an agenda. Look, it's very simple. I talked to...
That's the new line. Trump recently said, I think the stock market reacted... Think about this, okay? I think the stock market reacted poorly to my tariff announcement because the world's afraid of how well America's going to do. The U.S. stock market. Really? That's how it works? People are so afraid. They're so afraid of how well we're going to do that they're showing signs of thinking we're going to do poorly. Now, Mike Johnson, let's check in on him. He decided to lather onto himself a thick coat of makeup to look like the dear leader in what I can only describe as bizarre culty behavior that may have been accidental, but it could have been a makeup staff member who just wanted to who wanted to sabotage him, I guess.
Now we have President Trump back. He has a great team in place. He has willing partners in the House and Senate, unified government. The adults are back in the room, okay? And we are going to turn this economy.
Yes, you look very adult.
Around. We need a little runway to do it. I keep using this metaphor of a aircraft carrier. It took decades to get into the mess that we're in. You don't turn an aircraft carrier on a dime, but you need miles.
No, I think that's a fair, really interesting metaphor. An aircraft carrier is going very smoothly on the ocean, and then the only way to really turn it around is to load it up with a bunch of dynamite and explode it. That's kind of how, that's what their solution is. If you increase the contrast of this interview, you see an even more noticeable, distinct layer of makeup on him, almost getting to sort of troubling get yourself canceled territory, if you know what I mean. My goodness. Mike Johnson. Mike needs a new makeup artist. Let's check in on how Americans are responding to the recent actions. New poll, Trump's handling of the economy gets brutal marks. Elon Musk and the Democratic Party also in the tank. And there's an important takeaway from this. Donald Trump is getting bad marks on his handling of the economy. But in terms of overall approval, he's faring much better than Elon Musk or the Democratic Party. But it should be noted that his approval rating compared to other presidents at this early point in their presidency is record low, except for himself the first time. According to a new poll from NBC News out Sunday, Trump's performance on economic matters is not being well received, even though he's supposed to be the economy guy. He's a businessman. How many times have we heard that? My goodness. In all, 54% of voters disapprove of Trump on the economy, while 44% approve, and the split is similar on Trump's handling of inflation and cost of living. And a mere 18% of voters believe the economy is excellent or good. The negative views about Trump on this issue are a first in the NBC poll and record low, because normally Americans incorrectly but consistently think that Trump is good on the economy because the first term he inherited an economy that was steady. However, NBC found Trump's overall approval as high as it's ever been, although it's still underwater, and again, compared to other presidents, very, very low for this point in the presidency. Elon Musk fared even worse. A paltry 39% of voters approving of him personally, 51% disapproving of him. But then, as always happens, if you ask them, do you believe in the concept of a government efficiency department? People say, yeah, which I get that. Of course, we want to be efficient. But his initiative has very much failed and caused people to view him specifically and his handling poorly. But the poll's biggest loser was the Democratic Party. Democrats polled at their lowest level of all time. In the NBC News poll, just 27% of voters have positive views of the party. So the important takeaway here is, yes, as we expected when Trump started doing these things, Americans would very quickly go, oh, hey, this is actually kind of bad. But that doesn't mean that a win for Democrats in the future is an inevitability, but we need an aggressive Democratic platform that, if they were able to get into power, yes, in the midterm, but mostly once they also could have the White House, would actually turn around the the ship and would do so at a rapid pace. But to get there, you need the correct leaders and you need the correct message and campaign to actually win. And right now, the Democratic Party is just not viewed that positively by Americans. And so some people in the Democratic Party need to step up, because this moment is a crucially important one. Ed Krasenstein posted, "Wow, this is absolutely sickening. Local U.S. farmers are outraged at Trump through his Department of Agriculture. He just slashed over $1 billion in funding that fed vulnerable American children and families, literally ripping food from the mouths of hungry kids. Trump's terminating $660 million meant for schools and childcare facilities, and another $470 million intended for food banks and charities." Federal judge has halted Political Report's deportations after Trump invokes Alien Enemies Act. This is a wartime, supposed to be invoked in wartime, but he's doing it for the deportation effort, and it's been halted because of those legal issues as it's being reviewed. Immediate hold on efforts by President Donald Trump to quickly deport Venezuelan nationals under rarely used wartime powers intended to resist a foreign invasion. And so I'll keep you up to date on that. And one of the particularly talked about gangs is the Tren de Aragua, or as Donald Trump Jr. called them.
By Trens de Aragua,
right, exactly right. So we'll keep up with that. Since I mentioned Donald Trump Jr. to you, remember his analysis on Russia's invasion of Ukraine, because it provides a lot of insight for all of us.
Or didn't have Russia invade, unlike all the prior presidents and Joe Biden, their neighboring nations. Why don't we bring that back? Ukraine can overperform. I mean, I don't think they're winning. It seems like, the news will say, every time Russia makes a gain, it's not really a significant strategic victory. Every time Ukraine makes some sort of gain, it's very significant strategic. No one knows. Okay, they don't know. They're trying to make it seem, but this has been going on.
Hey, stop it. It's just caffeine. Hey, it's just caffeine, okay? And then quickly remember.
No way you would have gotten away with that. I go, I know. Luckily, I don't snort cocaine. Like, it's not my thing.
One Democrat is calling for the Democratic Party to step up, and that's Chris Murphy, the Democratic senator, who has had a much sharper message and I think is getting his point across. He does a lot of posting of videos explaining not just the fact that he believes something Trump is doing is bad, but explaining why, the details, and doing so in stark language. Here, he's calling for a better party.
Many of your supporters responded online saying you should replace Leader Schumer. Is that something that you would consider? Would you consider that role?
I mean, I don't think anybody's having that conversation right now. What's important is that we meet this moment. And what I'm telling you is that if we continue to observe norms, if we continue to engage in business as usual, this democracy could be gone. I don't think we have a year to save American democracy. I think the way the president is acting, using law enforcement to target dissidents, harassing TV stations and radio stations that criticize him, endorsing political violence, puts our democracy at immediate risk. So if you are a Democrat in the Senate or in the House, you have to start acting with urgency. And that is the conversation that we have to start having inside our caucus.
Exactly right. And you can't bring 1980, I don't even know. Who knows? We make these references to times when things were, who knows? But you can't bring a decade ago Chris Murphy to a Trump fight. And that's what he's saying. We can't bring these norms. It doesn't mean we violate our own dedication to democratic principles. We have to abide by that. Otherwise, we are what we're fighting. But instead, that within the confines of that, we don't play at such a deficit, like some of the lack of coordinated fight in opposing the funding extension that we saw Schumer lead the charge in bending the knee to. And so there has to be an energy. And I think, frankly, someone like Chuck Schumer, it's not his moment. Maybe it was in the past. It's not his moment. And we need someone with a Chris Murphy type mindset. Who knows if it's him specifically, but at least the way he articulated that, to start rallying folks and get some energy and aggression to push back on Trump's agenda. Share your thoughts in the comments. I told you it was going to be a big one, and it was.